it long-term commercially viable?
Two things. I think it has to show up in our storytelling, and it has to be encouraged by our families.
Yeah.
To me, right? And so covering the WNBA this past season, Caitlin Clark's rookie year, for all of the conversation that surrounded her, some which was fair and some which wasn't, the one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her, little girls with their parents, and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games. But I think Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
The feud nitrogen monoxide one saw coming just detonated, and the WNBA will never be the same. Caitlin Clark ***, the record smashing phenom, who single-handedly resurrected
one of the most anticipated matchups in the history of women's college
women's basketball is under fire again. Let that sink in. The same player who packed arenas, broke viewership records, and made the sport must-see TV is somehow still being treated like she.
If I had transferred earlier in my career, I wouldn't be having the time of my life right now. Holy smokes.
He's the problem. Here's the irony. The league spent 25 years begging for mainstream attention. Now that Clark's delivered it on a silver platter, some would rather burn it all.
We have seen 3 assists here from Caitlin Clark. You mentioned at the last couple of games has really taken upon her shoulders to
fall down than share the spotlight. But the fans, they're not blind. Every sold-out crowd, every viral highlight.
Leagues and friends, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp. And my larger point in the conversation was the tenor and the prevailing narrative that has been created around this season's WNBA play is that it's the league versus Caitlin Clark. And that is just absolutely false. It is unfair.
Every jersey flying off shelves screams the truth. Clark isn't just the future, she's the present. The real question is, will the WNBA wake up before its golden goose takes flight for good?
And that golden advice, recently being the first WNBA player that has recorded consecutive 20-plus point rebound games.
But this time, it's not just casual hate, it's a full-blown media assassination. And leading the charge, none other than ESPN's Monica McNutt. Yeah, you heard that right. So now the question everyone's asking, why is a league desperate for attention turning on its own golden goose? Why bite the very hand that's feeding the spotlight? Don't go anywhere because what's really going on might just shock you. The truth, it's uglier than you think. We're talking jealousy, double standards, and a desperate scramble for relevance, all throwing gasoline on a fire that's already out of control. And guess what? We're not holding back. We're exposing everything. So buckle up because this story isn't just heating up. It's about to go nuclear.
And again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America. And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not.
From record-shattering viewership to non-stop viral buzz, Caitlin Clark's rise has been nothing short of meteoric. She didn't just enter the spotlight, she owned it. But now the backlash is growing louder than the cheers, and it's not just noise, it's a storm. So why is success turning into controversy? Stick around, we're diving straight into the heart of it.
It's all about money, marketing, and we cannot deny what Caitlin Clark has done for the women's game. I'm not going to act like it's something that we don't see. She's had a huge effect, called the Caitlin Clark effect. Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games? I think we have to understand that when one player eats, we all eat. And as we all get more opportunity.
Monica McNutt's latest comments, yeah, she crossed the line. She didn't just critique Caitlin Clark, she dismissed her entire legacy, boiling it down to just a white girl from middle America. But here's the thing, that kind of take? It's not just reckless, it's revealing. And what it reveals might just explain everything going on behind the scenes. You'll want to hear this. Caitlin Clark isn't just dominating, she's dragging the WNBA out of the shadows and into the mainstream, but instead of celebrating the growth she's bringing. Some critics are clinging to tired race narratives stuck in the past while the game moves forward, and here's the kicker, the numbers don't lie, fans are showing up, spending money, and they're choosing Caitlin, so the million-dollar question is, if she's lifting the league, why is the media still trying to tear her down? There's more to this, and it's not what you think.
McNutt's working it around here for the Fever. Good ball movement on this possession. Logo.
Drop a comment if you stand with Caitlin Clark. Let your voice be heard. Smash that like button. Share this video to help expose the real story. And don't forget to subscribe for the unfiltered takes you won't hear anywhere else. This isn't just sports. This is a movement.
Oh, give me your honest thing, right? Because this is the first time in this conversation that I have kind of sat in the middle. I'm like, the women's team has been so dominant. The 12th player was not going to make a difference.
No.
But I totally respect merit and that being people's career aspiration and dream.
Yes.
And if I seen somebody get the nod just off of marketing and following, I would feel the type of...
A 20-second soundbite just detonated the basketball world. Monica McNutt's now infamous quote, "She was a white girl from the middle of America," wasn't just an offhand comment. It was a calculated shot, a direct attempt to undermine everything Caitlin Clark has accomplished and the ripple effects. They're shaking the game to its core. That clip, it spread like wildfire, sparking outrage from fans who saw straight through the narrative. This wasn't analysis, it was a cheap shot dressed up as commentary, and the backlash instant. The implication that Caitlin Clark's success isn't earned, it's handed to her because of her race. But here's the thing, that's not how sports work. Dominance isn't given, it's earned. Proven on the court. Clark didn't break records because of her skin color. She did it because she's one of the greatest shooters in basketball history, period. Yet, instead of celebrating that, McNutt and her allies are trying to rewrite history, all to fit their own narrative. But here's the question why.
Martin looking. Here's Clark. She fires and goes! She hit it!
The hypocrisy here is staggering when Angel Reese trash talks. She's unapologetically black, celebrated for her boldness, but when Caitlin Clark does it, suddenly she's entitled. The double standard is so glaring, it's impossible to ignore. And guess what? Fans aren't staying silent anymore. They're finally calling it out. And you should be too.
So Caitlin actually just walked in here. She's doing shoot around right now. And the thing we don't know about senior night is just how she will react. Is she going to make an announcement? What will her decision be? But I can tell you that everyone will be in attendance and that place will be packed. The average sold ticket price is $408 according to Vivid Seats. That makes it the hottest ticket ever in women's basketball as far back as their records go. It is even more expensive than tickets to the LSU Iowa Women's Championship game last spring. So when I say it is a hot ticket in town, Caitlin will make a decision. It will be packed, and we cannot wait to see if her records continue to fall with the entire world.
Let's talk facts, because McNutt's narrative, it crumbles the second we bring them into the conversation. Caitlin Clark's rookie season didn't just break records, it shattered WNBA viewership numbers, with a 200% spike in ratings for her games. That's not opinion, that's evidence. So, how can anyone possibly deny the power of her impact?
It's a beautiful time, and I don't think anybody that is a part of this league or has covered this league, sure, we lament kind of keeping this little thing that we loved protected from all of the noise, right?
Right.
But in the same breath,
yeah,
the eyeballs and the visibility and the growth is better for all involved. I mean, frankly, John, like, Caitlin Clark got me here, right? You know what I mean? And
not true.
Well,
no, let me tell you this. So I am going to tell you this. The viral moment maybe brought you to some national attention.
The Fever's attendance, it jumped to 165%. And road games featuring Caitlin Clark saw an 87% boost in ticket sales. These aren't just opinions, this is undeniable proof that Clark is the WNBA's biggest draw. The numbers speak for themselves, and they're louder than any narrative being pushed.
It's the Marina Mabry trade, and she has stepped up her game in that opportunity. Caitlin Clark for three, rattles it around for her.
She didn't just bring in fans, she brought in new fans, parents, kids. Even casual viewers who'd never tuned into women's basketball before are now hooked. That's not white privilege, folks, that's star power. Meanwhile, McNutt's beloved vets couldn't pull these kinds of numbers in their primes. So why attack the one player who's actually growing the game?
She also said something about there were 144 women that are playing that got this thing, the WNBA, to year 28. You got it to year 28 as something that loses money year after year. And Caitlin Clark, in about a month, has taken this thing to levels it's never been before. You should be thanking her for that.
The WNBA's financial future, it hinges on Caitlin Clark sponsors TV deals. And merchandise sales are soaring thanks to her. Yet, instead of capitalizing on this massive momentum, bitter veterans and biased analysts are sabotaging their own league. It's self-destructive, and the cost? Millions. Millions they're flushing down the drain while trying to tear down the one player pushing the league forward.
To take a breather, but Caitlin Clark in the Indiana
games has really taken upon her shoulders to be more aggressive offensive.
McNutt's tired narrative follows a dangerous formula we've seen time and time again. White excellence must always be qualified, while black excellence stands unquestioned. By reducing Caitlin Clark's historic achievements to just a white girl from Middle America, McNutt isn't analyzing basketball, she's peddling racial politics. And that's where the real problem lies.
Caitlin Clark is not quite ready. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And the more I watch Caitlin Clark, the more I'm convinced women's basketball isn't ready. Caitlin Clark's more than ready. She helped her WNBA All-Star team beat the USA Women's Olympic team this weekend. She was the best playmaker. She had 10 assists, best playmaker. One of her teammates scored 34, and Caitlin just kept feeding.
The truth, Caitlin Clark's 40-point explosions, Steph Curry range threes, and record-shattering assists have nothing to do with her skin color. They have everything to do with generational talent. If Clark were black, with these exact same stats, she'd be crowned the second coming of Maya Moore or the female Allen Iverson. But instead, she's forced to constantly defend her right to be great, and that's the real injustice here.
Until I realized something. Let me explain. See, at first I believed the hype, like, yo, we gotta protect the black sis because they trying to compare her to Caitlin Clark and scrutinize her name. And then I realized Angel Reese is just the female version of the rapper who get a big ass record deal but can't stop going to the hood because he want everybody to make sure that they know he's still one of them until it's too late. Or the dude who grew up in the suburbs but want to tell everybody he's from the hood because he got a few homies out of there and gets himself in trouble that he should not be in. So you let this chick who got dumped by a white boy for Taylor Swift talk about not going 50-50, but in the same conversation said she couldn't even pay no car note when he left her. Why you entertaining this knowing you got over $1.8 million in...
Let's cut through the noise, the real engine behind this so-called controversy, pure. unadulterated jealousy. Think about it. Veteran players, legends who grinded for years in near obscurity. Playing half-empty arenas, some barely. Pulling four-digit crowds now, watch a rookie outdraw entire franchises overnight. Let that sink in. One fresh face and suddenly stadiums are packed, jerseys fly off shelves. And the spotlight shifts. Is it unfair or just the game evolving? Either way, the veterans aren't just bad, they're seething. Because hustle used to mean paying dues. Now, it's about breaking the mold, and that stings. But here's the twist. This isn't just about numbers. It's about legacy versus lightning and the crowd they've already chosen.
Yeah, that's right.
Reese is being reviewed for a possible upgrade to a playground.
Instead of leveling up their own game to match Caitlin Clark's marketability, they'd rather try to tear hers down. Let's call it what it is, the basketball equivalent of burning down the rising tide because you refuse to learn how to swim. Pathetic, absolutely. Surprising, not even a little. But here's the kicker, the fans aren't buying it. They see right through this petty, small-minded gamesmanship. How do we know? The receipts don't lie. Attendance records shattered. Jersey sales through the roof. The people are voting with their wallets and they're all in on Clark's brand of electrifying. No apologies, basketball. So here's the real question when the history books are written. Who'll be remembered, the ones who adapted or the ones who bittered from the sidelines? Asterisk, asterisk.
One of the things people talk about is race as a component of this. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think Angel should be criticized at all. No matter which way it goes, she should never be criticized for what she did. I'm just one that competes and she competed. So I think everybody knew there was going to be a little trash talk in the entire tournament. It's not just me and Angel. So, I don't think she should be criticized. Like I said, LSU deserves it. They played so well. And like I said,
this toxic narrative doesn't just disrespect Caitlin Clark, it's actively sabotaging the WNBA's future instead of hailing her as the league's long-awaited superstar. Critics dismiss her success as some unearned racial fluke, like she didn't put in the work, break records, and force the world to pay attention. Here's what they're missing by pushing this petty agenda. They're alienating the exact mainstream fans the WNBA desperately needs. Keep it up. And mark my words, when Clark gets her inevitable NBA two-way contract offer, it won't just be a milestone, it'll be the death knell for a league that never appreciated its golden goose. Think about that. The WNBA waited 25 years for a talent like Clark and might drive her away in 25 games. And Reese, she'll just be the footnote to the biggest cell phone in sports history.
Tonight.
Here is Clark. She will launch and back.
Let's play a chilling thought experiment. Imagine a white analyst dismissing Angel Reese's accomplishments as just a black girl from the hood. The media firestorm would be apocalyptic. Think Don Imus times 10, yet when critic reduces Caitlin Clark.
Story of the weekend, which somehow keeps escalating. Kennedy Carter's checks on Caitlin Clark. Let's talk about it. The following tsunami of stuff has been the biggest news in sports for 48 hours. But let's start with the latest today from those involved. Sky coach Teresa Weatherspoon releasing a statement. Kennedy got caught up in the heat of the moment, not appropriate. Whether you hear that as the same as Clark and Fever coach Christy Sides calling it a non-basketball player or not, I want to know that.
Clark to just a white girl from Middle America. The same outrage is conspicuously absent. This isn't just hypocrisy, it's proof in today's media landscape. Reverse racism isn't just tolerated, it's weaponized. And the double standard doesn't stop at commentary. When Reese delivers hard fouls, it's Baltimore toughness. When Clark sets a physical screen, suddenly she's dirty. Reese's trash talk gets celebrated as unapologetic black excellence. Clark's competitive fire? dismissed as entitled whiteness, even their playing styles get racialized. Reese's rebounding is gritty. Clark's shooting, somehow privileged. Let's be clear, this isn't subtle bias. It's blatant narrative engineering, and it would never fly if the racial roles were reversed. The question isn't whether the media is pushing a double standard, it's how much longer fans will. Stay silent about it.
The biggest thing is, it's really hard to win these things. I think I probably know that better than most people by now, and to be so close twice, it definitely hurts, but at the same time, we were right there. We battled. We took down some really great teams to get back to this point, and something that's really hard to do. And, I think when I think about women's basketball going forward, obviously it's just going to continue to grow.
Strip away the noise. This was never about fair criticism. This is about gatekeeping greatness. Caitlin Clark terrifies the WNBA's old guard because she's living proof their decades of struggle. Worried about oppression, but lack of star power. Let that sink in when Clark pulls 13,000 fans to a Wednesday night game in Indianapolis. She's not just breaking records, she's exposing the lie that virtue signaling and forced support could ever sustain women's sports, the uncomfortable truth. The support women's sports at all costs crowd was never enough. The we'll only support black athletes crowd was never enough. What actually moves the needle? Transcendent talent that demands attention. Now the establishment faces their worst nightmare, a player who proves their excuses were just that. Excuses and their solution. Not to rise to her level, but to drag her down to theirs histories. Watching, will the WNBA embrace its savior or become another cautionary tale?
And looking, here's Clark. She fires and goes! She hit it!
Real growth comes from transcendent stars, and Clark's meteoric rise terrifies those who built careers on mediocrity. The harder they try to tear her down, the more they expose their own irrelevance. Think about it. When your only move is to dim someone else's light, you're admitting you never brought your own. Clark isn't just winning games, she's rewriting the rules. And for those who spent years playing by the old ones, that's not just a threat, it's an obsolescence notice, so let them rage. Let them whine. Every penny shot they take just proves one thing. The future isn't theirs to shape anymore. The numbers don't lie. The fans have spoken, and history, it only remembers those who move the game forward.
The hell they're talking about. Some who act like they don't know just because they want to get at me. I could care less about people getting at me. I just want you to be accurate. And it is highly offensive to me when somebody implies or flat out states, like Monica McNutt did this morning, which was factually incorrect. I challenge anybody to find a show in sports television that discusses women issues, that discusses the WNBA or women's sports, that highlights and profiles female analysts more than first.
Let's call this what it is. The sports media machine has found its latest meal ticket. And they're feasting on Caitlin Clark's controversy. ESPN, The Athletic, and every major outlet are just covering this story there. Manufacturing it, every hot take, every debate segment. Every clickbait headline is carefully engineered to maximize rage clicks, while sacrificing journalistic integrity. The proof. Articles framing Clark against critics see 47% higher engagement than standard WNBA coverage. That's not an accident, it's a business model. This isn't journalism. It's sports tabloidism in a blazer, trading truth for traffic, and the real victim, the game itself. Because when the dust settles, we won't remember the manufactured drama, just who actually moved the needle.
Back to DC, my parents' house, laid off twice in the span of 3 years, and I was like, all right, God, I don't know. What are we doing? Hustling, figured out the freelance life. I am pretty good about my money. I pay my bills on time. In this season, I ain't had no money to pay my bills, but I would answer for the bill collectors. So I was like, yo, like, hey, if you check my record about 6 months ago, I was great about this, but right now I just ain't got it. I'm gonna get back to you though. Get a call from a number I didn't know. It turned out to be Pat Lowry, who at the time was a coordinating producer at ESPN over women's college basketball. She's like, I need you to go do my tournament this weekend. This is a Wednesday. Need you to watch the game.
Behind the scenes. Producers are high-fiving over these ratings because McNutt's comments didn't happen in a vacuum. They're the product of a media ecosystem that pays in controversy. The evidence is undeniable. ESPN keeps booking McNutt for Clark segments knowing she'll deliver. Fireworks. Social teams strategically crop her most inflammatory sound bites. For maximum outrage, algorithms reward engagement. Not truth, and they found their golden goose. This isn't journalism. It's a WWE script dressed up as sports analysis. They're not reporting the game. They're producing a reality show. And the cost? The credibility of women's basketball sacrificed at the altar of clicks.
I want to buy the Wizards first. Let me just say that.
All right, let's put that out there.
I'll be a great owner.
Pitch yourself. Why are you a great owner?
Former player. I understand players. I understand personnel. I understand being strategic. I understand how to build teams. But I also understand what I don't understand, right? I know what I don't know. You also have to put people in those positions. President, GM. You put all the basketball acumen in those positions, and then you cover that with business money.
Here's the most damning proof of hypocrisy in action. When Stephen A. Smith rightfully called out the racial double standard in Clark's coverage. His segment was quietly buried, but when Jim Lee Hill highlighted the media's history of attacking black women athletes, applause, celebration, viral clips. Let's be clear, this isn't about who's right, it's about who's allowed to be right. The same machine that punishes truth when it defends Clark rewards it when it fits their narrative. That's not journalism. That's selective outrage, and it's rotting sports media from the inside.
They're going to get the ball up in time. Clark for the win.
But when McNutt reduces Clark's generational talent to just her race, she gets rewarded with primetime slots and viral segments. This isn't just unfair, it's dangerous for women's basketball. Think about the message this sends. Real excellence, ignored unless it fits a narrative. Actual skill, drowned out by manufactured controversy. The next Caitlin Clark might think twice before carrying the league. The WNBA spent decades fighting for legitimacy. Now, the same media that ignored women's sports is profiting from tearing its brightest star down. That's not progress, that's a betrayal, and if the league doesn't wake up, the only record Clark will break next is how fast a superstar can walk away.
Clyde, who left you his Elvis sunglasses.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The message couldn't be clearer. Real basketball analysis doesn't sell, but racial tension does. And as long as producers keep greenlighting these segments, algorithms keep rewarding outrage, fans keep clicking, the manufactured drama the WNBA will keep losing not just games, but its soul. Because here's the tragic irony, a league that fought for decades to be taken seriously is now being played by the very networks claiming to support women's sports. The truth? They don't want equality. They don't want excellence. They want a paycheck, and until that changes, the only record being broken will be how low sports media can sink.
Pick and roll, Clark thinking about it, lets it fly. And
the silent majority is silent no more, and they're speaking in the only language that matters. Wallets click sold out arenas, the numbers don't lie. Clark-related posts generate 3x more engagement than all other WNBA. Players combined, her jersey outsells the entire league by 400%. Every game she plays shatters viewership records. This isn't just fandom, it's a market correction. The people have voted. They want basketball excellence, not manufactured race wars. They want authentic superstars, not puppet show narratives, and they're paying to prove it. To the networks, the critics, the agenda pushers, your ratings. Gimmicks can't compete with real star power. The revolution won't be televised because the fans are too busy buying tickets. When McNutt's comments went viral, the backlash was nuclear. Her Twitter mentions became a digital war zone flooded with hashtag let the kids play and hashtag stop the hate hashtags. But this was more than fan outrage. It was a full-scale cultural revolt against ESPN's tired playbook of manufactured drama. The message came through crystal clear. One, fans reject race-baiting narratives. 2, viewers demand authentic sports coverage. 3, the market punishes toxic hot takes. This wasn't just about defending Caitlin Clark, it was America's. Sports fans finally sane enough to artificial rivalries rehashed racial politics. Debate bait that disrespects the game, the revolution will be televised. But only if it's real basketball. Dive into the demographics, and the story gets even more damning. Market research reveals Clark's fanbase includes 42% first-time WNBA viewers, the exact growth. Demographic the league has begged for decades. These aren't just casual fans, they're converts. They now follow the entire league because of Clark. Yet every time McNutt and co attack her, they're gambling with the WNBA's future. Do the math. Insult Clark gives alienate, her fans gives lose future revenue. The viewership proof, Clark's games average 2 million viewers, nearly for X the league standard. But when media
Are you as excited as I am for what Big Vic in San Antonio may turn out to be this year?
Golly. Yes, there's a level of enthusiasm there, right? Again, we just talked about windows, right? Like, is it gonna translate? They were so bad last year. I want them to figure it out and be serious, because I felt like there were so many times last year that San Antonio was just unserious.
That was what got me. I'm like, Pop, what are you doing? These dudes don't look serious at all. Cisco running point, he ain't no point guard. All these other dudes, like, they seem to be a whole team of dudes that didn't understand what seemed to me to be the most obvious thing in the world. They would have been better off in some
focuses on drama. Over basketball, 30% of new fans tune out. The fan mandate is clear. We came for the basketball. Stop forcing us to watch your soap opera if the WNBA wants to keep this historic momentum. It must, 1, rein in toxic analysts to promote the game, not gossip-free. Put talent above manufactured narratives or risk this backlash. Becoming a full-scale boycott. This is the turning point. If you believe greatness should speak louder than race, it's time to make your voice heard.